So here's some considerations for before and after things go hot in the Ukraine-Russia crisis or conflict. A quick forewarning is I don't think that this is going to amount to anything, especially not in the U.S., but there is still a likelihood, and given our leadership, it's probably a good thing to rely on yourself rather than the government coming to help you. So these are just a few of my ideas based on what I've been seeing. So first of all, our gas infrastructure is pretty vulnerable. Russia has shown us that a couple times in the last few years, and according to some analysts that I've talked to, according to a few analysts that I've seen or watched their videos on, the likelihood of Russia doing some parallel attacks on the U.S. while they're engaged with Ukraine is pretty high. And I don't necessarily mean like hot physical engagements, but like cyber warfare, hacks, cutting cables, things like that. That is a pretty likely occurrence. So if you do see things going hot over in the east, it's highly likely that you should, or you should prepare for the highly likely scenario that things are going to start going to shit here. Europe relies a lot on Russian gasoline, and it's possible that there would be sanctions and embargoes in both directions, and it's possible, depending on Europe's response, that gas may be cut off, which means European products coming to the U.S. are liable to trickle in or stop entirely. So if you have anything you need from Europe, I would go ahead and get it now, assuming you can afford it. And speaking of affording it, I'm going to do a quick aside on with war of any kind, even in other countries, it can affect the U.S. economy, and especially if we get involved, there's going to be a significant dip in the economy. It happens every time we go to war. It may not happen, but if I were you, depending on how essential your job is, I would go ahead and start trying to put away roughly 3 months worth of expenses, and start doing what you can to mitigate your costs. So if you've got something really pressing, you can pay it off soon, do that. If you can put away some food now, it's more expensive now than it used to be, but if we go to war, it's going to get really expensive. So see if you can start putting some food away. Same goes for water, or at least find alternate methods of getting these things, such as gardens, water catchment, wells, things like that. I would start training and trying to get fit, so you can reduce your intake requirements for food and water, for that matter. Finally, I would try and see if you can just plan some routes. If there is some kind of conflict, I doubt Russia's coming here. I would argue there's a 100% chance that there won't be any foreign boots on American soil, but there could be foreign bombs. So if there's some kind of attack on the U.S., it's probably a pretty good idea to go ahead and plan some routes of egress. If you've got bug out locations, I'm fairly certain that you've got a plan to get there, but maybe a good time to just do a practice run, even if it's on a vehicle or in a vehicle, and you drive slowly the path you plan on walking, or if it's running through Google Maps and trying to find some alternate methods of getting there. Anything to that effect is a good idea. And finally, if I were you, I would keep your nose to the wind when it comes to domestic issues. It seems like a lot of people are getting visits from the ATF, and there just seems to be, I'm sure all of you already know this, but there does seem to be a lot of political tension going on just between civilians and things. So it's probably not a bad idea to just check your six and look out for that kind of stuff. Here in Tennessee, at least, a lot of the social and political climate is kind of cooling down. Luckily, a lot of the people that we're having a huge influx of people from all sorts of different places, usually California, a little bit of Colorado, and some New Yorkers moving in. But most of them tend to be of the conservative persuasion, not necessarily Republican, but definitely conservative. Not that political party matters, but anyway, so it's not a huge crisis like I first thought it was going to be in terms of losing rights on the state level and things. But one issue is land is kind of disappearing. So if you can get your hands on a small plot of land and start prepping it to plant and things like that, which again, considering the prices now, is no small ask, but whatever little bit you can do to get ready for any kind of fallout that comes from this. Even this is a lot of money for Russia to be spending just to scare some Ukrainians. So I think it might end up being a little bit more than just a scare tactic. But like I said earlier, I don't think that it'll end up being a full-out conflict, especially one that involves America. But Europe may get involved. Anyway, I think I've ranted enough. I just wanted to put some considerations out there, bring some things up that I've been thinking about that maybe y'all haven't, and hopefully vice versa. You guys can help me in the comments, show how much of a dumbass I was for missing something obvious. Wouldn't be the first time. Anyway, thanks again, guys. I'm going to try and make more videos here soon, and hopefully some more higher quality content instead of filming with my phone on my lap in a truck where you can probably barely hear me. I'd like to do some videos on guns or shooting or tactics and things like that, as well as the normal gardening stuff I've been doing. So, thank you guys. Have a good one. Bye.